তো আজকে আমি তোমাদের সাথে ডিসকাস করব 6th সেমিস্টারে একটা ভীষণ গুরুত্বপূর্ণ সাবজেক্ট, যার নাম হলো অ্যাডভান্স কনস্ট্রাকশন টেকনোলজি, এবং সেটার ইউনিট 3 আমি ডিসকাস করব, যেখানে বেসিক টপিকস আছে ব্রিজেস অ্যান্ড ফ্লাইওভার্স, মাল্টি স্টোরেড বিল্ডিংস, প্রি-ফ্যাব্রিকেটেড কনস্ট্রাকশন অ্যান্ড জিওসিনথেটিক রিইনফোর্সমেন্ট। আবারও আরেকবার বলছি যে আমরা কী কী টপিক্সের ওপর এখানে ফোকাস করব। ফার্স্ট হচ্ছে ব্রিজেস অ্যান্ড ফ্লাইওভার্স, সেকেন্ড হচ্ছে মাল্টি স্টোরেড বিল্ডিংস, থার্ড হচ্ছে প্রি-ফ্যাব্রিকেটেড কনস্ট্রাকশন, আর ফোর্থ হচ্ছে জিওসিনথেটিক রিইনফোর্সমেন্ট। কনস্ট্রাকশন অফ ব্রিজেস অ্যান্ড ফ্লাইওভার্স আমরা দেখে নেব একবার। ব্রিজেস অ্যান্ড ফ্লাইওভার্সের টোটাল ওভারভিউ, ফাউন্ডেশন ওয়ার্ক অ্যান্ড সুপারস্ট্রাকচার ওয়ার্ক। ফাউন্ডেশন ওয়ার্কে আমরা কি কি দেখব? পাইল ড্রাইভিং রিগস, কাইসন সিঙ্কিং, ওয়েল ফাউন্ডেশন, board piling, dewatering the pumps and the trimming equipment. In case of superstructure work, আমরা কি কি দেখব? Launching of the girders, form traveler, heavy lift of the cranes, hydraulic jacks for post tensioning and lifting, gantry crane for spans and places of deck segments, and transit mixers for supplying the fresh concrete at a given height. আচ্ছা, এখন আমরা দেখব ব্রিজ কনস্ট্রাকশনের স্টেপ বাই স্টেপ প্রসেস, দ্য স্টেপ বাই স্টেপ প্রসেস ফ্লো অফ কনস্ট্রাকশন অফ আ ব্রিজ। ফার্স্ট প্রসেস আছে যেটা সব থেকে ইম্পর্টেন্ট, সেটা হলো সাইট সার্ভেইং অ্যান্ড দ্য ডিজাইনিং। সেকেন্ড, ফাউন্ডেশন এক্সকাভেশন। থার্ড ওয়ার্ক ইজ দ্য পাইলিং ওয়ার্ক অর দ্য ক্যাশন ওয়ার্ক। ফোর্থ, পায়ার অ্যান্ড অ্যাবাটমেন্ট। ফিফথ, erection of the girder. Sixth, deck slab casting, and the last one, railings and the finishing work. এবার আমরা দেখব যে what are the key equipments per phase. For foundation, these are the equipments: pile rigging, boring machine, trimming pipe and dewatering pump. For the substructure, tower cranes, concrete pump, steel formwork vibrators, and for the superstructure, launching of the girder, form traveler, hydraulic jack and the gantry. এবার আমরা দেখব some types of bridges and their construction methods, and also what are the main components used in the construction process of these bridges. First is the beam bridge, which method we use as the simply supported beam placed on piers using cranes. Second, box girder bridge. And what is the method? Precast segments placed using launching girder in balanced cantilever method. Third one is the cable stayed bridge. What is the method applied here? Pylons erected first, stay cables installed progressively with deck segments. Last one is the flyover, used basically in the urban areas. Method: driven plies plus precast piers plus precast girders and helps in minimal road disruption. Okay. Now we will come to another important topic of this unit: construction of the multi-storied building. Right. So, what are the multi-storied construction key equipments? Construction of the lifts, the bed conveyors, the slip forms and the pumping of the concrete. Another most important topic is the prefabricated construction. So what is actually prefabricated construction এবং why do we use it? আমরা এটা কেন ইউজ করি? Right? Definition, if we look at the definition, prefabrication is the practice of manufacturing building components off-site under controlled factory condition and then transporting and assembling them on site. It actually replaces traditional cast in situ methods for the structural elements. অর্থাৎ যে সমস্ত কম্পোনেন্টস আমরা ফ্যাক্টরিতে রেডি করব এবং তারপর আমরা সাইটে নিয়ে আসব ফর দ্য অ্যাসেম্বলিং অফ দ্য স্ট্রাকচার, রাইট? সো ট্র্যাডিশনাল ভার্সেস প্রিফ্যাব্রিকেটেড কনস্ট্রাকশন, উই আর কম্পেয়ারিং, আমরা কম্পেয়ার করছি এখানে। কনস্ট্রাকশন টাইম, কোয়ালিটি কন্ট্রোল, the labor and the weather impact. What type of weather will it be, right? So we can see the difference between the traditional method and the prefabricated method, right? So in traditional basically we will see it's slow, but in prefabricated it's compared to traditional it is fast, right? Site dependent and variable. In fabricated it is factory control, so main control will be done in the factory. Factory they basically control the whole, right? Large on site workforce and fewer on site workers. অল্প বিস্তর কিছু workers লাগবে for prefabrication construction, right? Heavily affected by weather, so weather may have a huge impact in case of traditional construction. In case of prefabricated, minimal, there will be minimal disruption due to weather affection, right? Weather এর জন্য affect কম। So what are the important methods of prefabrication? First is the plant fabrication and the site fabrication. Now here are the comparison between the plant and the site fabrication. So আমরা দেখতে পাই যে plant fabrication এ the factory setup is totally permanent, but in case of site fabrication it's temporary. Mass production is possible in case of plant fabrication, and in site fabrication it reduces the total transport cost. Strict quality control, we have to maintain the quality of the materials, right? And in site fabrication is suitable for remote sites, okay? Transport to site is very much required, but in case of site fabrication initial capital amount will be lower, right? So transport to site is not much required. Economical for large orders, right? And it also not so much economical for the large orders, and weather actually affects the quality. Weather এখানে কিন্তু কোয়ালিটির উপর পুরোপুরি এফেক্ট করবে। এক্সাম্পলস কি আছে? Precast plants, pre-stressed factories. In case of site fabrication, bridges, large dams and remote area projects. Types of prefabricated elements, right? Wall panels, slab panels, beams, window frames, door frames and columns. এটা হচ্ছে prefabricated construction এর total complete process. It's the total complete process here. First is the structure designing and the drawing. Second comes the formwork preparation. Third comes the rebar cage fabrication. Fourth comes the concrete casting. Number 5 is the curing, right? Number 6, transport to the required site. Number 7, site erection by the crane machine. Number 8, alignment and temporary props. And number 9 is the grouting and the finishing, right? So these are man-made polymeric materials, usually polyester, polypropylene or polyethylene, placed in or on the soil to improve its engineering performance. They are used basically in roads, retaining walls, embankments, dams, landfills and coastal protection works, right? So what are the 5 primary functions of geosynthetics? Separation, filtration, reinforcement, drainage and containment, right? Now some types of geosynthetics: geotextile, geogrid, geomembrane and geocomposite. So details you can see here. What are the materials for the geotextile? what is function, what is uses, right? So basically all this we'll able to categorize according to the types of geosynthetic materials. So how geosynthetics reinforcement embankments, right? You can see here the benefits of geosynthetic reinforcement. This is the layer of the geosynthetics, right? It prevents slow failure, it reduces settlement, it increases the load capacity, it lowers cost versus in the deep foundation, and it's environmental friendly. So it's basically an eco-friendly element, right? So different types of geosynthetics and their application areas where they are basically used, right? Road and highway embankments, geosynthetic, geogrid plus geotextile. In retaining walls, geosynthetic, geogrid. In river and coastal protection, geotextile plus geomembrane will basically use. In soft ground improvement, geocomposites. Okay. So this is the quick reference summary. What are the topics we have covered in Unit 3, right? Already I have also already mentioned here. Okay, bridges and flyovers, multi-story buildings, prefabricated construction, and geosynthetic reinforcement. So in exam we will basically focus on these topics, right? Explanation of which construction of flyover with neat sketch, listing all the machineries used at each stage in case of bridges, right? Then we will describe the slip form technique of multi-storied construction. We will also focus on the advantages and limitations. That means disadvantages, right? Differentiating between plant fabrication and site fabrication with suitable examples. Listing all types of prefabricated elements and also explaining 3 jointing methods in detail. What are the geosynthetics and describe their types and their role in embankment stabilization. And describing the use of concrete pump and transit mixer in multi-storied construction. So, total summary of Unit 3, we will able to know about the bridge and flyover construction knowledge. We will be having the multi-storied building equipment. We will be having the prefabrication method, elements and jointing techniques, and geosynthetic types, functions and embankment application. Thank you.